My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Crossing path with vehicles that do not molest, with headlights from a distance. That's a stalker, and that is a stalker. He's doing that while they are monitoring what's on my phone, conspiring murder together. Okay, getting at C Street, 240 North Euclid Avenue at the Wells Fargo intersection right here. They're surrounding with light activity. They're inside of the parking garage, pacing out, maintaining ongoing light activity, stalking in the path. The entity does not cease surveillance. And this is the entity doing so, literally publishing the video that you're going to see put on X right now. This is the entity, the timing. My evidence on my social media is putting the demons in prison for that as well. Meaning when Johnson is asking my name and asking, did I step on the property of 530 West Holt Boulevard, which is not a trespass, while the entity is stalking me on what is a facilitating venue, not private property. That's a psychopath with regard to monitoring me and doing so in a malicious manner while you're wearing a police uniform and bearing weapons, engaging in stalking with that population that engages in criminal summoning with them. That's federal prison. And that's also the simultaneous diagnosis for mental illness, that Johnson and all those other gang members they're closeted psychopaths, and it's not so closeted. The entities engaging in this the moment that they are looking at what I'm about to publish right now at what is 12:13 a.m., which is the evidence of stalking me at the Ontario Town Square. And this is psychopathic pacing. No coincidence. This is what the entity is doing at the bus stop when I'm sleeping at 537 North Euclid Avenue. What I'm doing while I'm sleeping at Tracy Banks' apartment at Woodside Senior Apartments. When I'm sleeping at the Tabor Professional Building on G Street, when I'm sleeping at the museum at the Euclid Avenue and Holt Boulevard. The entities engaging what is stalking while I'm at the library, flying in circles over me, which is exactly what they were doing yesterday while I'm in use of my device, publishing the license plates of the people of the state. The entity is stalking, and this is a failed tactic. The people of the state and this department are going to prison, and this is what they're doing with regard to what I'm publishing online, and it's not stopping me from publishing. This is why I have a ongoing body of evidence showing what I'm documenting, what they're inflicting upon me. And then as I publish it, the entity engages in more of it. That's the pattern regarding what is evidence of surveillance on the video of the internet, on devices, where you are feigning being a law enforcement agency. And because of that, that's an unlawful threat to enable them to get away with murder and kidnapping. And it's no surprise that they've engaged in what is lying about my death, lying about not knowing where I'm located, where they have committed kidnapping, lying on my character with regard to defaming my character while they're psychopathic stalkers. They're going to prison. Okay, this is the perfect formula for that, and it's establishing precedent. This is federal stalking with the intent to obstruct justice, while the Ontario Police Department, the state, keeps me under surveillance in concert with the people of the state, the demons themselves, and this is the terrorism of the Nephilim. That's P.O.C. It's 12:14 a.m. Alrighty, this is the government that is monitoring. So as I pack up my belongings, as I wake up, as I move around, being monitored is pursuant to not only what's going on your devices, but it's literally your physical movement. That's the point of being molested with engineered light. That's the point of stalking with noise. The entity is doing this in the most expensive and spectacular and psychotic manner, such as monitoring me with commercial planes. There's no planes that are taking off that are doing nothing other than a cartwheel in relevant position to me, monitoring me while I am packing up my belongings, which is what the people of the state are doing when they're molesting me with light, as I'm engaging in the most minute movement, okay, which is under surveillance. It's the inhumane means of surveillance, and it is by the government, and it is in concert with the people of the state. And the entity is doing so at this early hour. It's currently, as you can see at the town square, it's approximately 5:25 a.m. All right, this is P.O.C. and I do remain subject to the pattern of conduct as I've shown you. This is relevant to where the Ontario Police Department are stalking me, where the Ontario Police Department are always being documented while the people of the state are stalking. And you are stalking while I'm being molested, and you're half of a mile away or a quarter of a mile. You're on the opposite side of a football field. You can't touch me with your headlights. You're a stalker. And so are the Ontario Police Department. So is the city of Ontario. Okay, this is the case. This is my and here's a shadow right in front of me. And this is another shadow around me, okay? I'm being targeted while I'm surrounded by a group of shadows, and it has nothing to do with what is the natural light activity. The product of standing under a light fixture would be one shadow, okay? One shadow that is going to be on the ground, not above your head and not magnified inside, is all speaking to the entity that is monitoring me, okay? And that's the Ontario International Airport that is being shut down. It's a threat to national security, as are the people of the state. But the people of the state, even the brokies, are engaging using what they have at their disposal. The demons that have access to planes and operations positions like Alan D. WAPNER and the Ontario board, these terrorists, they're being removed from the positions that they have, and that airport is being shut down. It is a threat to national security. That's the entity. That's giving you context regarding monitoring my vagina. Okay? This is P.O.C. It's currently 5:24 a.m. This is the entity that's doing the exact same thing at the Ontario Village Shopping Center where the Stater Brothers is. This is what the entity is doing when I am over there and they're hovering over the senior citizen apartments. The reason why they're not flying on that side, because the airport maintains ongoing criminal surveillance, stalking me in commercial planes is consistent of that which they do on the south side of my person. So while I am facing west, the entity is stalking by being on the south side of my person. That's why they're flying over Mule Car Smokehouse and Metro 102. They're never doing that. They're only doing that, and that has nothing, there's no terminals that are, you know what's back there. It's the Ontario City Hall. It's Sultana. It's the entity, the Ontario Fire Department. It's the housing community. As I walk down Wendy's through that's all housing community. The airport is miles from here, where you're not hovering over this apartment. It's not in alignment with Metro 102 in the same way it's not behind the library. That's all housing. This is all housing. The entity's doing the same thing at the ARCO on the opposite side of downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. That's all a housing community. Now, I've walked through that housing community and documented them and shown you there's no airport back there. There's stalking. That's literally stalking, as I've proven it. And you can also see that on a map. If you take an aerial view of where it is the entity is stalking me, the airport is nowhere near. So then you're actually able to have a visual of how psychotic they are. Why are you hovering over downtown Ontario Apartments? The airport is literally southeast of that location. So you're flying diagonally miles, over 4 miles from the airport, from the terminals, and then you're hovering down. Remember what they're doing? They're hovering down over the Stater Brothers parking lot like they're landing over there. What are they doing over Mule Car? They're stalking, and they're psychotic. Okay, this is what the entity is doing by helicopter. That's why I got video after video after video last night. While demons are being discerned, Satan doesn't like it, but I've been discerning these demons, all of them, for years. That mental illness does not lessen. Okay, it doesn't decrease. It's not cured, as I'm letting you know that this is the Nephilim. The Nephilim are irritated, they're agitated, they're enraged, they're infuriated as you are identifying them, and I'm identifying them while I prosecute them, that is, document them and let you know what they are, because they're demons, and not only that, they're criminals. And criminals and psychopaths together have no business flying planes, have no business operating an airport, which is why that airport is being shut down, which is why an American citizen has unprecedented evidence against the U.S. government, utilizing an entire airport, the operations of that venue, to stalk a person, which is committed in furtherance of murder. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 5:30 a.m. Alrighty, I just took images, but I decided to go into video because this is real-time documentation regarding vagina monitoring that the people are engaged in. Okay, this is a sex offender that's creating activity. That's light activity while they're in the vehicle on the ground, and that's also activity while the government's monitoring my vagina. Behind this wall, where engineer light is on it, where engineer light is on the ceiling above, where the entity is engaged in the exceedingly violent sex offense of criminal surveillance in the bathroom, doing so with all of the people of the state. This is massive sexual violence that is inhumane by merely consideration of numerosity concerning my vagina and concerning what is private inside of a private space, including at a facilitating venue. The entity that's engaging what is stalking, just like see the same exact conduct at the Ontario Town Square. All right, this is the entity that's flying over my head, flying over the buildings, and they're going out of their way, I want to be clear, to engage in what is letting you know that they're monitoring your genitalia. This is relevant to the psychological torture behind the sex offender that is UPS, that is Southwest Airlines, that is the Ontario International Airport. These are those that are conspiring murder together, not only these companies, but the government itself. I'm going to prosecute UPS, that's a third party. I'm going to prosecute Southwest, that are violent sex offenders that are engaging in that. Half of the population, the people of the state, including sex offenders that are driving school buses, engaging in the pattern of conduct. That's why the fake sun is here. All right, if you're looking at the documentation I'm publishing online, 2022, in May of 2022, the fake sun is over me right here at this entrance at 11 o'clock in the morning, where the Ontario Fire Department is monitoring my vagina. The entity has the fake sun over me right here at 4 o'clock, 4:05 to be exact, in the afternoon, where the entity is monitoring my vagina. The totality of the evidence is speaking to the government. That is a violent sex offender engaging in what is in concert with the people. And this is a serial stalker I've been documenting for a series of days. Engaging in what is working at the venue is a means of documenting serial stalking as well. Serial stalking is that which is committed in furtherance of murder. in concert with the state. This is a sex offender. She's in relevant position to the bathroom where the government's flying over by plane. She's monitoring 7WHN 603, 9SAD 377. This is omnichannel gang stalking. That's why the fake sun remains over me while I'm on that bus going in whatever direction at whatever time. These are the violent sex offenders who are the people of the state. This is P.O.C. This is psychopathic pacing. It's going to go on the playlist regarding mental illness. This is what the people are doing. It's psychopathic pacing. Alrighty, and this is mentally ill conduct while the entity engages in this behavior, and they're doing it all over the internet. That is a violent sex offender, and they don't have any flights hovering over the Ontario Village Shopping Center. Alaska, not taking any flights. None of them are hovering over the state of, like they are, by the way, over the Ontario Town Square, which is where the OVITT Family Community Library is, which is in this setting where a population is engaged stalking together in furtherance of murder. This is all relevant to the Ontario Police Department, which represent the government that kidnaps and murders, and they're doing so with regard to the ability to enable that and facilitate that as an entity that's engaging in what is the surveillance system under the guise of law enforcement. And that's why those domestic terrorists and the domestic terrorist leader Mike LORENZ are being federally prosecuted. And you're seeing how the system itself is serving to prosecute itself, while any aspect of the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct in the specific environment. It's pointing to everyone else. You don't have one feature without the rest of it, and you'll never have what is engineered light on the without the entity being prosecuted for. In fact, when you are investigating surveillance by a government, by people, mysterious murders and whatnot, you are aware of the fact that the entity has committed it while they're in this environment where there is no mystery, there's no investigation. It's an entity that's murdering systematically, kidnapping, engaging in what is sacrifice. All right, and that's what UPS, Alaska Airlines, and Southwest Airlines are engaging in, and doing so while I am documenting it. They're monitoring my vagina at 7:08 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is Stater Brothers. I want you to see that because I'm associating sexual violence with the brand. This is relevant to the federal RICO case. Stater Brothers is acting pursuant to the pattern of conduct. Every business in the state of California is engaging in the same sex offense, the perpetual sex offense. It's light activity. All right, and they're doing so with the government that's pacing over the parking lot. It doesn't get any more direct with regard to prosecuting. P.O.C. It is 7:08 a.m. Hi, excuse me. Do you have any more toilet covers? Like toilet seat covers? Toilet seat covers, paper for this? Oh, okay. They are pacing into the bathroom, monitoring a woman's vagina inside of Stater Brothers. This is also the same third party that's monitoring at the OVITT Family Community Library with the that is the gang stalking with Stater Brothers, coming to another venue to keep my vagina under surveillance with the Ontario International Airport. That's gang stalking in the parking lot as I've been capturing. This is P.O.C. They're going in and out, in and out, in and out. And the moment that I go to the restroom, they immediately go into the adjacent one. This is activity creation, and through the walls, the entities like boom, boom. Thank you. I just need a few. Thank you. This is good enough. This is Stater Brothers. Facilitating sexual violence. The employee is there, pacing all around. I've shown you the light activity in the hallway. I've shown you the light activity when I'm standing in line and flashing of light flying through the air. I've shown you the engineered light on the ceiling inside of the grocery store. I've shown you the engineered light that's underneath the covered structure at the entrance. I've shown you the fake sun that's remaining from at literally beginning to the end of the day. Even if you could refer to what I documented in May of 2022, which I referenced in one of the videos today. The entity has the fake sun over me at the entrance where they are pacing in and out of the store, and they're pacing in the parking lot. They're pacing in the sky space, monitoring my vagina. Okay, this is exactly what Don Quinones and all the people of the state are being prosecuted for. The sex offense, the entity that chases me down to monitor my vagina, to engage in sexual violence, to want to keep me under surveillance in a private space, is the entity that is conspiring murder. And it includes the third party, who is Rosa's son, operating Benny's white van that I documented this morning at C Street and I believe, at B Street and at 325 West B Street. That's where that van is parked. He's coming in here. He's systematic. He's a psychopath pacing inside of the library. He is amongst the entity that's gang stalking me. Okay, this is P.O.C. He's the overweight Latino male. And he's gang stalking, coming to the entity, engage in surveillance. So you're coming to the bathroom to keep my vagina under surveillance under the fake sun. Amplifying the sound of the toilet, amplifying the sound of the code they entered to the door, amplifying the sound of the dryer, amplifying the sound of even the pipes of the wall while you run the faucet. These are demons that are stalking, and they're crossing path with me while my vagina is exposed. This is sexual violence by the government. This is what they're doing. This is P.O.C. And it is currently, by the way, 9:23 a.m. This is relevant to when you are documenting the government and you are subject to documentation and you're capturing it more than one time. That's the entity that's relevant regarding federal prison for violent sex offenders conspiring your murder. P.O.C. This is 646 West Holt Boulevard. Okay, it is currently 9:26 a.m. I want to document ongoing perverted means of surveillance. That's what bathroom monitoring is. It's the surveillance by sex offenders who are hunting you down while you're nude, while you're engaging in private activity. That's audible activity and engineer light, which fills the store, and it's under the fake sun. They're monitoring evidence, so these are sex offenders that know that they're being prosecuted, and that's relevant to every single last prosecution, including of the U.S. government, for keeping my vagina under surveillance. The entity's engaging in what is, this is the Latina female that is pacing in the hallway, and then she is opening up the bathroom door. This is relevant to access. This is relevant to the entity that is stalking in the sky space, Alaska Airlines, Southwest Airlines, UPS, and the entity is pacing in and out of the parking lot, the storefront, the entrance, and the bathroom while she's walking in and out and doing so under the guise of cleaning or replacing, whatever. She's opening it up, and this is, again, the entity that is threatening you and is sexually violating you, keeping the bathroom door open and exposed while you're in it, and they're monitoring you. I want to make sure that I document that. This is the extent to which the entity is engaging in what is literally preying upon you and wanting to, if they could literally come into the stall and take my clothes off, that's exactly what these demons would do. Okay, this is what the entity has engaged in before, placing cameras and watching me on the internet, placing me on the internet. This is while this same entity is engaged in vagina monitoring, obsessing over my genitalia, watching me in the nude in my home, and when I am maintaining a reasonable expectation of privacy in my home, and this entity is gang stalking, that's the sex offender that's engaged in vagina monitoring, filling the bathroom with amplified noise, sounding as though a hammer is coming through the wall while you flush the toilet. You can hear them turning on the faucets through the walls. Everything is amplified in volume in the same way that I'm showing you, for example, helicopter activity when you're flying over the mountains and I'm in the parking lot at the hotel and you cannot hear that. In the same way that your engineer light, not headlights, are touching me from the opposite side of the field of the Ontario Town Square. This is how an entity is targeting, and they're targeting my vagina. And as I document that, the sex offenders come closer. The sex offenders engage in more hovering, hunting, stalking conduct, very predatory, very sick. That's the rapist that is the U.S. government. That's the rapist, the sex offender that are the people of the state. Okay, coming into the bathroom is not relevant to cleaning. This is the entity in the facilitating venue engaging in what is bathroom monitoring while the target individual is in there, while they're mindful of the evidence. This is the P.O.C. That's the entity stalking by helicopter coming into the bathroom. That's all manner of what is a threat, and that's psychotic, and it's sexually motivated psychosis. Okay, obsession over my vagina. This is what Tracy Banks shares. This is what her husband, Jason Isaac Phil, shares. Obsession over my vagina. This has rooted and manifested into an unprecedented criminal system with regard to sex offenders who are the Nephilim, who are demon possessed, and they are gang stalking. And gang stalking is indeed an exceedingly violent sex offense that Stater Brothers, a facilitating venue, is sharing in. Stater Brothers is a sex offender. It is currently 9:29 a.m. My evidence shows that I'm at the Ontario Town Square at this time, but that's not where the sun is, and that's not where the sun would be simultaneously while they're maintaining what is the crime scene, so that the sex offenders at OVITT are following me from venue to venue to engage in what is monitoring my vagina. I will provide what is the image of this overweight male that's engaging in what is harassment, asking me questions that he knows the answers to while he reeks of urine, and he's engaging in what is gang stalking me inside of the restroom at the Stater Brothers, which is a threat communicated by the sex sex offender stater brothers themselves, facilitating and enabling that ongoing sexual violence. They're engaging in surveillance throughout the entirety of the store. That's why Impossible Light is inside of the store. That's why Impossible Light is accosting me and flying over and placed on above my head while I'm standing in line trying to make a purchase. They're sex offenders, and so is the venue itself, and I'm going to prosecute. All of these desperate means, all of the ongoing impunity with regard to accessing and monitoring my vagina, that is literally the details relevant to civil damages, to time in prison that the entity is happily, enthusiastically going to based on their obsession, their mental illness with my vagina. And that's because they are indeed mentally ill. This is P.O.C. It's 9:30 a.m.
Alrighty, it is currently 10:07 a.m. This is the space where the entity is engaging in what is literally, while they're stalking with noise on the inside, demons are pacing on the outside, monitoring my vagina. Comprehensive surveillance. And this is the 10:07 fake sun that is simultaneously over the OVITT Family Community Library at the front entrance, and then facing the University of Laverne College of Law as I go to the back portion of that library, and that fake sun is moving in real time. A fake sun that remains at that venue as I remain at that venue until after 4 p.m., which is what I'm also documenting, into what they are engaging in, which is the sex offense while in custody of children, while engaging what is public corruption with the government. While the government is here, I've been since 7 a.m. The entity stalking by planes flying right over the storefronts, over the parking lot, that fake sun over the storefront, and here it is at 10:07 a.m., 10:08 a.m. under the park. This is Impossible Light because the fake sun's over the OVITT Family Community Library. The two aren't happening at the same time, and this is a sex offender that doesn't mind being documented. That's why he's standing here. He does not mind. This is the P.O.C. You have all manner of what are homosexuals. You have all manner of what are predators, rapists, convicted sex offenders, and the people of the state who are typically not convicted sex offenders engaged in monitoring while they are together acting in concert. Stalked with amplified noise on the inside, pacing with engineer light on the inside, multiple shadows, operational device under the fake sun. So what I want to show you, 8NKB838, 9TID795, 9HJK591, and this is Stater Brothers that's under the fake sun. Stater Brothers where I am being, this is also sexual assault and battery. Unlawful touch while they're engaging in what is monitoring my genitalia while the entity is pacing inside, and that's what they're doing outside, pacing outside in the sky space. That's why the fake sun is still here. We're at 3 hours now. All they're doing is pacing, keeping the fake sun here so that they can maintain surveillance in that environment. What the big picture is, while the entity engages in the sex offense of gang stalking with children, 7DVY644, the entity does so while they are keeping the fake sun, as I'm showing you, over the entrance and through the back portion of the OVITT Family Community Library at 215 E.C. Street. And this is not that. And this would never even create that light activity on that wall. That's how you know the significance of what the employee is doing, pacing in the hallway, what the demons are doing in the adjacent restroom, what the significance of the Impossible Light that I've also documented inside of that venue, and where the entity has the fake sun, as I've already documented, until the evening. For example, 2022, in May of 2022, the fake sun is over me at 4:05 p.m. at this same entrance, okay? That's engaged in psychotic conduct, asking if I'm recording you, putting his hand up while he's not looking at him. This is a stalker and a vagina stalker, okay? This is him and his mother, him and his siblings engaging in what is coming to the bathroom to engage in what is a sex offense with the government. That's why the government's being federally prosecuted and will be subject to prison for all manner of surveillance that I'm subject to while the people of the state engage in this. 7TLX744. This is what the OVITT Family Community Library is engaging in. And this is the ability to prosecute city to city, county to county, even state to state. Safeco Auto LLC is maintaining what is the pattern of conduct while the entity is engaged in criminal summoning. And this is the entity that's maintaining that fake sun I captured yesterday during the 7 a.m. hour, and it is 10:07 a.m. and this is the maintenance of that fake sun remaining over me, speaking to Safeco, targeting me, and at the same time engaging in criminal summoning. That targeting is also proven through that engineer light where those gang members surround me with guns on their waists and threatening to commit kidnapping while they are stalking in the same way that Stater Brothers is stalking, because the fake sun is removing itself from the venue where it's been remaining and where our population is engaging in what is the egregious sex offense of monitoring, pacing in and out of the women's restroom, pacing in and out of the adjacent restroom. Sex offenders that are engaging in this at other venues come to maintain that sex offense. That's how both both obsessed and hostile they are toward me and my vagina to engage in sexual violence with regard to what is hostility because I've documented. That's what Rosa's son represents. And Rosa, again, that's the same spirit. They're a demon-possessed, urine-reeking, gang-stalking sex offender that are Rosa and all her children coming to Stater Brothers to gang-stalk me. I'm going to show you the fake son that's going to be over me at the Safeco Auto LLC at the same time, 10:07 a.m. when I'm inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, and I'm looking at the University of Laverne College of Law. That's letting you know what they're all doing on the roads and the highways. All right, you're getting the same level of analysis when I'm aboard Omnitrans and I'm going to Pomona, or I'm going to Chino, or I'm going to Montclair, or I'm going to Upland, or I'm going to Fontana, and the fake sun is moving through the window of the bus. But when I stay at Ontario Village Shopping Center, it's not moving anywhere. This is surveillance, and the state of California on the roads and the highways are engaging in sexual violence. Every business, every household are sharing in that, and this is that P.O.C. This is relevant to federal prison for Safeco Auto LLC, the third party that is indeed a terrorist who is likely a candidate for deportation, engaging what is gang stalking, and then summoning the gang members that commit murder and kidnapping while I am documenting the fact that he's committing sexual assault and battery by virtue of identity, knows who I am, and is targeting me while he's engaged in criminal summoning with that gang, with those gang members, Sergeant Hall, T. York, Johnson, R. Lilly, Elias, and you have Ponce. Okay, Safeco Auto is right here, and the fake sun is over me during the 7 a.m. hour, and it's remaining over me as I am leaving the Village Center. And this is not over, again, like I'm stating, over the Ontario OVITT Family Community Library, or over the Ontario Civic Center facing the City Hall, seen outside of the library of the window facing the College of Laverne University of Law. This is relevant to everything that I'm documenting. Monitoring my vagina, stalking in a bathroom, stalking as a population, maintaining very specific elements, light, presence, and audible activity. Audible activity that is serving targeting. Everything is amplified in volume in the same way that they're targeting under a fake sun. In the same way that they're targeting with engineered light, while their headlights are reaching across a field to touch me. No, that's not sunlight. In the same way this isn't sun, the entity is committing sexual assault and battery right now. Okay, I'm getting this video because the gang members that committed what is exercise of fictitious authority, the gang members of the Ontario Police and this third party at Safeco Auto LLC, they're all going to federal prison while they are gang stalking me, and the entity is hostile because I'm documenting it stalking me and engaging in what I'm showing you, monitoring my vagina. On top of that, they're sex offenders, and they have the audacity to then engage in what is exercising authority that they don't have while they're engaged in criminal activity. And that's literally the reason why stalkers are wearing police uniforms, to get away with that. This is pacing on this side and on that side. Safeco Auto LLC is engaged in what is federal group stalking and monitoring. The engineer light, all the gang members surrounded me. While they are in engineer light, there's shadows in all manner of conflicting locations. The Ontario International Airport is stalking in the video when they're dipping. Okay, as you can see, it is currently well, you can't see, but it's 10:17 a.m. My video of my approaching this location is showing you the presence of the fake sun. And what you're looking at is the city of Ontario that is stalking, flying over the top of my head. And this is what they're accomplishing when they're doing so by helicopter. The entity that is stalking by the commercial planes remain on the south side of my person. That's what you see on video when the entity is engaged in criminal summoning right here at Safeco Auto LLC. Where the entity is engaged in what is the exercise of fictitious authority. It's not private property. This is where the entity is in the shoes of the public entity. That's the malice behind gang stalking in the first place, committed by the government, acting via third-party agents like Safeco Auto LLC, who's committing sexual assault and battery, molesting me with light while I'm standing on what is the adjacent venue walking through. And this is somebody that's engaging in that targeting with light, pursuant to the state's pattern of conduct, knowledge of who I am. And that is also deduced, that knowledge is also deduced because the Ontario International Airport is stalking on video with the Ontario Police while they are surrounding me in engineer light, which is the same venue that I'm under now, while the entity is stalking, flying over the top of my head under the fake sun that is not over the OVITT Family Community Library. This is a continuation of the same video captured at 10:07 a.m. I walked to this venue in my storage. So I'm recording another video showing what is the ongoing chronology regarding my walking from what is across the street from the village to this venue where the fake sun is over me and they were stalking by light when this entity surrounded me with guns on their waist and stalking with the people of the state. This is assault with a deadly weapon. This is hostility. That's prison as well. This is P.O.C. Are you going to hit me? I'm going to. Are you going to hit me though? Why are you being so rude? You see these demons that because they're monitoring. I will. You don't need to run up on me like you're going to hit me with your vehicle. You have a problem?
No.
It looks like you have a problem. Are you looking for a court case?
Thank you very
Because
much.
I just documented that. That's P.O.C. These are the terrorists that are being deported. They are the terrorists that are being deported. License plate. Yeah, I got that license plate. That's the P.O.C. This is the hostility based on, again, the fact that I'm documenting under the fake sun engaging in that, speeding toward me while they're all monitoring together. Those are the hostile demons. That's the government. That's the Ontario police that are satisfied when they engage in that conduct on behalf of them. The Ontario police are not a police department. They're gang members, and so are the people of the state. These are terrorists, and it is justice as you are watching them being deported. It is justice while they are being removed from this country based on what it is that I'm showing that they are committing against American citizens, that they murder, that they kidnap, that they steal from, that they abuse, and they do so on behalf of gang stalking police departments like what Ontario is filled with, demons that are engaged in the pattern of conduct. And this is what Safeco is engaging in, this inexplicable hostility when you are stalking me and the demons are hostile because I know what they're doing. Not only is it relevant that I know, remember it's relevant because I'm prosecuting with tangible facts regarding what I know. What the entity thought that no one would ever be able to prove. And they are engaging in what is violence and abuse on behalf of the Ontario police who are demons stalking me, where this fake sun is present at 7 during the 7 a.m. hour, and here it is at 10:20 a.m. while you are stalking me and approaching me for the purpose of gang stalking me and as though I'm in your way, which is no excuse to engage in what is that assault with a deadly weapon in the first place, by the way. That's what you're looking at. It's hostility by the entity that is being documented. This is the entity that he is going to federal prison. All right, this is the same pattern of crime. This is the daytime iteration of gang stalking by the Ontario Police Department with the Ontario International Airport, targeting by virtue of the planes here hovering over American Stereos masters as I capture on video, engaging what is stalking with engineer light. The gang members are wearing their guns and their badges. Speaking of what is a trespass that does not apply at facilitating venues where the entity is engaging in what is the malicious pattern of conduct, they are all going to federal prison. And this is also relevant to what OVITT Family Community Library, what the entity is doing, because this is not outside of the windows of the OVITT Family Community Library. It's not over the entrance. It's not even on C Street. I am on HOLT Boulevard in between Bonita and in between Vine Avenue. This is the pattern of conduct, and the government knows that. That's why over my head. That's why the entity has a fake sun over my head, where, by the way, the documentation shows that the fake sun is setting right here on this same street. This is an entity that engages in violence and abuse, while the demon-possessed, who are violent sex offenders stalking with light, like Comet Electric, are engaging in the pattern of conduct. This is P.O.C., and that's relevant to the surveillance that the sex offenders are engaging in what is violence and abuse while you're going out of your way to stalk me. You're coming in this direction because you are stalking. And the fake sun is the evidence of that. And then you're engaging in what is threatening me by speeding toward me. The entity is engaging in that manner of threatening your life on an ongoing basis. Even while they're stalking and they're not addressing you, it is the evidence of their mental illness. It is no evidence that they're not stalking. The evidence that they're stalking is very clear. This is P.O.C. It is currently 10:21 a.m. where this entity is keeping the fake sun over me as I am traveling toward the OVITT Family Community Library. And this is the facilitating venue that committed criminal summoning. And this third party is committing sexual assault and battery. And that is occurring at nightfall when they are stalking you, molesting you with engineer light. It's demonic activity in the same way that this is demonic activity. This isn't the sun, and it's not sunlight touching everywhere, because at the OVITT Family Community Library, the engineer light is still present inside of that venue, over the building, all over the property. And that's an impossibility. This is the demonic environment, and at nightfall, when they're aiming light, it's not their headlights. You're looking at demons. It is the demonic in real time, and you're going to prosecute with the illusions that the mentally ill present while they are stalking you. That's the unfathomable offense by those that are likely immigrants in this country, and then engaging what are summoning the gang members that pull out their guns and commit kidnapping, just like the Ontario police threatened to do on what is the 21st, so with the gang stalkers of the Ontario International Airport that maintain no terminals, where you're engaging in what is flight over the street, hovering more over there. Remember, they're flying over there when I'm inside of the parking lot. That's stalking, and that's what the Ontario were stalking. That's what Safeco Auto LLC is doing now, and what they did on video, presenting what is an unlawful threat, which is the basis of prison. And if this is not a natural-born citizen, just like I stated on video, he's going back to wherever he came from, where they are clearly accustomed to terrorism. And that's the pattern. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:23 a.m. at 530 West Holt Boulevard. Here is the entity stalking. This is what Jay Sandoval was doing yesterday. Stalking in the path. I'll show you the fake sun right over my head where the people of the state are stalking vicariously on behalf of the one that is going to be disbanded, and that is Michael Lorenz. It's going to be federally prosecuted with regard to stalking me in furtherance of murder as a department's pattern of conduct, and doing so while they keep my evidence under surveillance and commit criminal act of retaliation after criminal act of retaliation based upon knowledge of what it is that I'm exposing about them, while they are indeed stalking and proving that they're stalking while they engage in such retaliatory methods like stalking me in an alley, proven by the maintenance of a fake sun over me at 10:29 a.m. This is located at third-party facilitating venue 221 Fern Avenue, where they are monitoring as well. They're monitoring with the state. This is a facilitating venue and not private property, and everybody at 530 West Holt Boulevard engaging what is the malicious means of the pattern of conduct where the government is maintaining surveillance, where the people of the state are remaining, and then speaking to, while you're engaged in that criminal conduct, stating that you're going to commit a kidnapping for trespass. That's the entity that's going to prison. All right, that's the same entity that is stalking me while I'm walking through the neighborhood. And the entity is doing so with regard to that unlawful threat posed by Mike Lorenz. License 7DVY644 is engaging in surveillance with that department. That's the same demon that had the minor child inside of her car at Stater Brothers. She's a psychopath. She is a vagina monitor, okay? This is 325 West B Street, where they assault with a deadly weapon by the third party in this parking lot right here. And everybody in this parking lot, including the vagina monitor that came to the Stater Brothers bathroom to keep me under surveillance in that private space in this white van, is what is belongs to Benjamin, third party. And Benjamin is the owner of what is this white van where Rosa and her children are gang stalking me and threatening my life, and doing so with the Ontario. So let me go ahead and show you this license plate, because this is the third party. It's on video gang stalking me inside of the bathroom. Stater Brothers, EYB 9324. That's a Michigan plate. All right, that's the pattern of conduct. This is, again, state action. This is light activity while the fake sun's over me. All right, that's the pattern of mine. What is B Street and Fern, where the entity knows exactly where I'm at and who I am. Okay, none of these are private properties, and the entire city of Ontario is being prosecuted. This state is being prosecuted. This is P.O.C. It's 10:31 a.m. where the government is stalking. Jay Sandoval is going to prison. That's exactly what she did yesterday while I was at the U.S. bank, and the fake sun is over me. This is the same neighborhood while I'm on D Street in the fake sun, and that agency is stalking me by helicopter at 4 in the evening. This is the same streets that I'm walking down at 7 in the morning, and the fake sun that's supposedly a sunrise is over me, and I'm walking on the same neighborhood that's captured in images. These are demons engaging in surveillance. The entity that wants to engage in surveillance with the government in furtherance of murder is going to be prosecuted like the terrorists that they are, regardless of how a vagina monitor, a stalker, a cult member like Johnson tries to opine on that, which he is disqualified. It is literally invalid while he's engaged in criminal activity. He's literally obsessed with my vagina, monitoring me, seeking to engage in what is impliedly a health check with regard to the use of the word terrorist that is absolutely fitting regarding gang stalking that he and that department is engaging in. While you are stalking me, you will never be defaming me or anyone else. The absurdity of that, while you are stalking in the path as demons. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 10:32 a.m. 8VJL030. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. Vehicle 1115. If you recall my during the 6 a.m. hour during daylight savings time, Jay Sandoval is engaging in surveillance. She is stalking in the path in concert with the people who engage in psychopathic pacing. This is what, for example, inside of the buildings where they're in engineer light, and this is the fake sun where they're covered in engineer light, and the entity is always engaging in stalking on behalf of the government, which is what the Ontario police engage in. They do so conspicuously to communicate a threat. They call themselves communicating a threat to the person that is having them disbanded and putting each and every one of them in federal prison. These are gang members, and this is gang violence, and the Ontario police are not free to engage in surveillance by merely putting on uniforms and calling themselves a law enforcement agency, which is exactly what the state of California has committed while they are engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. Jay Sandoval is gang stalking me during daylight savings time under the 6 a.m. fake sun, and it is currently 10:35 a.m. during standard time, which would be 11:35 a.m. during daylight savings time. She is going to prison by virtue of that evidence, and so is the third party that is communicating a threat. The threat is based on what is the identity of the state presence, also the entity's criminal conduct that has already been documented, such as malicious assertions, lying about the fact that I'm dead, The entity has engaged in what is stating that I'm dead while they've been engaged in kidnapping with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. They've engaged in what is kidnapping with regard to malicious assertions. They're engaging in what is stalking and monitoring all my devices, simultaneously engaging in acts of retaliation, such as removing my evidence off the internet and then stalking me by helicopter at the same time. The entity is engaging in what is stalking in the neighborhood in J. Sandoval's under the 6 a.m. fake sun that's over the same building in the same parking lot. This is P.O.C, this is the department, and this is the prosecution of Mike LORENZ. She is going to prison. This looks like the big nose Hadel, I believe. This is the entity that's engaged in what is kidnapping June 16, 2022. The threat is both expressed and implied. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct with the people of the state. They're enabling and sharing in criminal activity with the people of the state. And they're with the gang members that are communicating threats to summon the stalkers themselves, the Ontario police. That's what this third party is engaging in. Her audible activity in the engineer light, the entity stalking by the Ontario International Airport, the entity stalking as an entity, doing so now conspicuously with the gang members that are always sharing in the pattern of conduct with all of the people of the state. She's going to prison, and so is this demon in this vehicle, license 1680789. That's Impossible Light. She's a demon. That's a demon. The Ontario police are not just criminals and stalkers, they are demon possessed. That third party is going to prison. That's the department that she's threatening to summon when they are stalking me together in furtherance of murder. That is demon possession while you see Engineer Light dragging in the shade. And this is the entity that's engaged in that pattern of conduct in the physical absence, meaning that department, you don't see them, but they are present vicariously, and they are going to prison. She's gang stalking at the facilitated venue 218 C Street. She's sitting in her vehicle gang stalking just like she is every other day. And this is incriminating. She's going to federal prison. License 9PZF062. There's no sun over the OVITT Family Community Library. And my evidence shows that I'm at the library documenting that same department under that fake sun. They're going to prison. All my evidence is going to be used to put every single last one of them in prison where they're stalking me. And they include the people of the state. License plate NAWHOMI. Threatening to commit criminal summoning while you're stalking with that agency in furtherance of murder is federal prison. 9PZF062. They're doing so with the Ontario International Airport. They're demons alike. 8JDC516. My evidence shows that the entity has a fake sun into the evening at this same location as well. And that's an unlawful threat where you are engaging what is threatening while an ongoing federal case is underway against you. Whether or not you want to admit it or address it or concede to it, that is irrelevant. You're going to prison. All right, and this is the exact same stalking conduct that the gang members at Safeco Auto LLC committed when a stalker like this one at 218 C Street commits criminal summoning while you are being targeted by that entity. That's the pattern of conduct. This is indeed P.O.C, and let me show you more evidence that they're all demons and that they're monitoring. This is my shadow. These are the details that you're not supposed to be aware of. The Ontario Police Department are demon possessed. So are the people of the state, and this is all stalking. All of it is stalking. The entities engage in what is surveillance in the U.S. While the government is monitoring you, the government is necessarily following you. How is the government following you when you are at home and you don't see any police? You don't see any helicopters. You don't see any planes. The entity is doing so by the people of the state who are in the same pattern of conduct in that same environment. You are engaging in the conduct on behalf of that government and are also stripped of any benefits regarding being a private citizen, engaging in any private speech, enjoying any of the benefits of that. The entity is going to federal prison for the malice with which the entity is engaging in that pattern. Ontario Police Department are full of demons and they're going to federal prison. This is exposure of nothing other than a cult that's been trying to hide itself as a police department. And that's what the entire state of California is sharing. So are the people of the state. These are the vagina monitors that are going to prison, and they're called properly the Nephilim. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 10:43 a.m. You're referencing the documentation of me capturing the gang stalker. Highway Safety, Myers & Sons Highway Safety, license 67501G4. This is criminal activity, which no business has any constitutional protection to engage in. They are utilizing a business as a malicious means of engaging in the government's pattern of conduct, the criminal pattern of conduct. They're monitoring with the demon that I just documented, the Ontario Police on the opposite side of this street. They're monitoring with the people. This is psychopathic pacing, ELHUESO. 9PD and 730. This is psychopathic pacing in the engineer light. The fake sun is over me at this intersection of B Street and Euclid at after 6 p.m. as I'm documenting during daylight savings time in 2025. The entity is maintaining this fake sun while yesterday I'm already inside of the library. I documented the fake sun that's over me, but you're aware I didn't go to the library at 10 o'clock. In fact, I'm using video and juxtaposing the impossibility that the sun would be over me at Stater Brothers Ontario Village Shopping Center and at Safeco Auto LLC. And as I'm en route to the venue where I'm already here yesterday, the entity is maintaining that fake sun. That's how you're understanding what is the significance of the behavior, which is creating activity by the people of the state. 77 Edward, BHB, they're engaging in activity creation at the Florida plate while they're coming in and out of the store that is stalking as well. The entity is engaging in this, and you're going to prosecute the business. They're persons under the law, persons who are sex offenders. They do this pertaining to monitoring my vagina, while sex offenders like Rosa and her demon-possessed children are pacing around, stalking me in bathrooms, doing so with facilitating light activity, while the people that stayed on the roads and the highways and the people that stay in the sky space, like the Ontario International Airport, utilizing the gang stalking airlines to keep my vagina under surveillance to stalk me from place to place. The entity is maintaining this fake sun is, as you'll recall, West Coast, the West Coast Nursing School. Those demons are inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, where that fake sun is already present yesterday. They are indeed stalking, and they're not ignorantly stalking or accidentally stalking. They're not inadvertently engaging in psychological torture. Those are the demon-possessed, the Nephilim, that are unfit to be in the medical field. And at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, not only would the sun not be over that entrance like I documented, it wouldn't be over the same Ontario Town Square while I'm crossing the street, where highway safety is gang stalking and facilitating that in furtherance of murder. This is the entity that's engaging in that statewide system. And that fake sun is remaining over me, and I'm repeating the path that I already took when I documented highway safety at or around 10 a.m. when I'm walking toward the venue already. This is the pattern of conduct. The entity is maintaining the same location of the fake sun in the evening over the Wells Fargo, which is diagonal to the entrance doors of the OVITT Family Community Library. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and the gang stalking police department is being disbanded for repeatedly kidnapping, for repeatedly stalking, for repeatedly monitoring and engaging in obstruction. 7VZS009, 9HYX773. They're driving an engineer light. License 9VYR384. Engineer light underneath the vehicle. Impulse for light activity. They're stalking. And the sun's already over the library yesterday. And it's still there after 2 p.m. where West Coast University is indeed gang stalking. The demon possessed that engage in what are conspiracy to murder while wearing scrubs and being in the medical field. All right, you are losing your license to practice medicine, to be in nursing, to be in the medical field whatsoever, any level of certification. That's sexual assault and battery by sex offenders who are unfit to be in that field. That's the pattern of conduct, and they went to the OVITT Family Community Library, the demons of West Coast University, and West Coast University is a gang stalker as well. It's a gang stalking institution. What do you think University of Laverne College of Law is? There is no sun that will be facing that venue while I am looking out of the window of the library at 10:07 a.m. and the library is not anywhere near the Stater Brothers where I'm showing at the same time. This is the pattern of conduct. Okay, and the unfortunate reality, the demon-possessed are in custody to children that are born with demons on them, engaging in what is the instinctive conduct of criminal monitoring that the government utilizes. Okay, that's the P.O.C. They are engaging in that while they are aware that you are ignorant about the significance of what they're doing in that environment. All right, that's P.O.C. It's 10:47 a.m. The entity gang stalking with minor children will be a basis to deport their gang stalking parents. All right, the entity is engaging in what is gang stalking with those over and under the age of majority, and they will be subject to federal prosecution for terrorism in the U.S. All right, it is currently, by the way, 10:47 a.m. The entity has the fake sun over the OVITT Family Community Library aimed through the doors as this engineer light creeps through underneath into the depths of that library, which is extensive, and the entity is then stalking with light that they're walking on. It's already filled with engineer light. It's just changing the color. It's a concentrated color of engineer light. Where the City of Ontario are engaged in vagina monitoring, stalking, they are equally obsessed with me. Okay? It's the demon possessed. They are all obsessed. They are all stalking. And that's the unprecedented federal RICO case and the unprecedented criminal prosecution of the U.S. government. This is P.O.C. It's 10:48 a.m. This is the Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. This is the Ontario Town Square. This is the Wells Fargo. This is the OVITT Family Community Library. And this is the fake sun that's remaining over me the entire route toward this venue. Whereas yesterday it's already here. And it remains where stalkers remain. Stalkers that keep their communication device in tow, look to the opposite side, appear perplexed when you document them. That's a psychopath. That's a demon. You're stalking, and that environment is what is going to have you diagnosed. You don't look innocent. You don't look ignorant. You don't look friendly when you say hi. And neither do the police. All right? And that improper, that deceptive misnomer is going to be addressed. They're not police. They are exposed. They are the Nephilim, and they're engaged in surveillance. They're stalkers. They're vagina monitors. And Mike LORENZ is being federally prosecuted, proving that the entire city of Ontario is gang stalking in concert with that department, which is an unlawful threat. This is pacing. They're pacing. Their mental illness is shown while they're in this environment together. This is what highway safety is doing, stalking with light activity, peculiarized light, 9UXP000. And they're doing so with regard to specifically me. All right, specifically, oh, her panties are down. Oh, she's in the bathroom. She's taking her clothes off. That's the sex offender that's obsessed with my vagina while then ostensibly appearing and trying to live their life as though they're heterosexual. This is a demon that's focused on me. How do you know that? Because of the fake sun. You are stalking while you're in front of me. You're stalking while you're beside me. You're stalking while you're looking away. You're stalking while you have something in your hand. You're stalking while you're operating a commercial vehicle. You're stalking in that engineer light. There's no difference with the demon possession with 51125G3 and the Ontario Police Vehicle 1115. There's no difference. They're demons alike. Psychopathic pacing. They're mentally ill, and this is a public service announcement. The prosecution is a warning to you regarding the Nephilim, and this is ongoing terrorism. They've been murdering and kidnapping people for years and years and years. And it's the state, it's the government, P.O.C. And the government that's maintaining this surveillance is being federally prosecuted. Everybody that's inside, this is sexual assault and battery. City of Ontario, 9UXP000, City of Ontario. I just want to be clear, Paul Leon is inside of the City of Ontario City Hall, where the fake son is not present. While I'm showing you at 10:07 what's going on. What's going on is that he's a vagina monitor. He's being removed from office. He's a violent sex offender, and he provides the resources funding terrorism. It's going to be the federal prosecution for a terrorist leader. That's the Ontario City Hall. The fake son is just now remaining over me, targeting me in whatever building I'm at, and targeting with that light activity, including while the City of Ontario monitors my evidence. So they decide to pull out a shovel, pull out a hose, pull out some sort of tool to engage in what is the guise of, there is no guise with gang stalking. This is breaking down their whole delusional act. And they're going to prison, they're being deported, they're being federally prosecuted, and they're being from office. He is being removed. This is a public service announcement regarding the vagina monitor that is Paul Leon. He's a domestic terrorist leader. He's an enemy. He is no mayor. And that's why this criminal activity is underway by the police department, by every department in the city, and also by the people of the state. The same community that he is a part of, targeting me and targeting my vagina. Okay, that disgusting creature that is no pastor nor mayor is being removed from office, and I'm going to federally prosecute him for the unlawful threat to my life posed by the City of Ontario. This is P.O.C. This is impossible light activity. City of Ontario, they're demons. They're a bunch of demons. Pattern of conduct. This is a psychopath keeping their back to you. That's okay. I'm going to prosecute Paul Leon. That's Mickey. You already know that she's a psychopath gang stalking at 5 in the evening. This is the entity stalking by the Ontario Police Department that are gang stalking 24 hours a day. Putting all the demons that I'm documenting in prison. I just documented that big nose demon on the opposite side of this building, but they are engaged in their same predictable P.O.C. and they're all going to prison. Every single last one of them. Stalking me and stalking me in helicopters. That's an unprecedented threat. We are not in Baghdad. This is not Afghanistan. And Mike Lorenz and that department engaging and treating an American citizen like that in violation of my constitutional human rights equals federal prison. It's not just the demon in that helicopter who was going to report their identity, because them and Mike Lorenz for the pattern of conduct are going to federal prison where terrorists go, just like any other foreign terrorist. That's the P.O.C. It's currently 10:52 a.m. This is speaking to the entity that is unfit, mentally unwell, engaging in more criminal conduct, trying to hide and disguise themselves in scrubs, engaging in what is criminal activity of a malicious nature, sexually violent, psychopathic, and delusional. No, you have no business in the legal field. You have no business in law enforcement. You have no business in the medical field. This is dealing with all of that at the same time. P.O.C. It is currently 10:52 a.m. All right, I want to document a stalker. This is a third party. It's an African-American male. This is the second night in a row that I'm specifically observing him targeting me. He's lying in wait, waiting until I leave from the library to commit sexual assault and battery, and then he walks in the downtown Ontario luxury apartments. He drives this Tesla right here. This is the entity that's engaging in what is an unlawful threat, and a serial stalker repeatedly engaging in sexual violence. And this is a psychopath. This is a threat to your life, while people that you do not know are necessarily lying in wait just to touch you. Okay? That's the entity that, I just want to be clear, the entity that is capable of gang stalking, that is stalking someone, preying upon them, violating their privacy, violating their rights to be in a bathroom without you invading their privacy, stalking them and following them into places like bathrooms. The entity that's capable of doing that is the entity that is capable of murdering you. So you need to understand that, and that's the mindset. Just because you have not put the knife in your hand and shed blood does not mean that you do not have the mindset that is already capable of committing that. And to commit gang stalking is relevant to what is the mindset that is capable of taking the life of a person that you don't even know, that you are engaging in stalking and doing it on that is stalking in planes and helicopters. This is the government. This is exactly why the U.S. government is being federally prosecuted for the conspiracy to murder. Okay, and I just want to be clear, that is an unprecedented basis of damages in court, an unprecedented basis that has never been before contemplated. And the people of the state are being federally prosecuted. Union Pacific is what you hear, monitoring. That's just why the sex offenders lying in wait. This is the government that's sharing in that. And this is the government that's engaged in what is systematically murdering people. And they have failed in sacrificing me. And I'm going to cause the government to pay me for that. Not only that, the government, you have real-time documentation, which is going to put officials and those that are at the heads of these terrorist organizations, they're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. This is the fake. While this African-American, he wears like a sailor hat. He's a little midget. He's a dangerous predator. He's lying in wait. There's no coincidence. I'm not leaving at the same time. I'm going when I feel. And this is the second night in a row where he is lying in wait to commit what's a sexual assault and battery when I'm right here. This is the stalker. This is the entity. This is merely identifying 9VZU725, but this is what the population is doing. So what the entity does is do the same thing with another license plate, another third party. But I'm going to document this serial stalker associated with Sarah's Regis Group, downtown Ontario luxury apartments, where they're in that parking garage sexually violating me as well, because they're all monitoring while the sex offenders lying in wait and touching me. They're all engaging in group sexual violence together, while they're monitoring with the government that's amplifying train activity. And I will prosecute Union Pacific since the entity is monitoring me under the guise of a train that could be heard throughout the entire city of Ontario, which is not the case. The entity that is monitoring is mentally ill. Okay, so they have psychopathic means of targeting you. This is P.O.C. It is currently 11:11 p.m. This is indeed my shadow here. And this is my shadow over here. Union Pacific is the means of monitoring, targeting. The entity surveillance at the Ontario Town Square. This is the vagina monitor that's maintaining presence inside of the library, gang stalking all day. And he is lying in wait as well, keeping me under surveillance while I'm at the site of the OVITT Family Community Library. These are not men, by the way. These are males that are keeping a woman under surveillance together. It's a group effort that the government sponsors, shares in. The government is a sponsor of violence against women, of what are preying upon women, sexually violating women, engaging what is violating their privacy. This is all state action, and the government is fully engaging in it, and the government supports that. Contrary to the laws that are on the books and the ways in which this same government speaks in places like in courtrooms, but that same courtroom, that same criminal justice system, that same system is engaged in gang stalking. Okay? The reason why you cannot make that make sense is because this is the unspoken system, and I'm prosecuting it. This is P.O.C. It's currently 11:12 p.m. at the Ontario Town Square.